Councillor Perks to speak.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I'm going to recommend that we adopt the advice from the Integrity Commissioner. This is one of those very difficult moments that we have once every couple terms where we fundamentally rethink what the authorities and process that City Council has for dealing with important matters. When we considered the local appeal body and this Council approved its creation, I asked the Integrity Commissioner to write this advice because I knew we were getting into very different waters. I want to remind this body that in 1990, Jean Charest had to resign from the federal cabinet because he had written a letter to a judge. In 2013, the Minister of Indian Affairs had to resign from the federal cabinet because he had written a character reference, not even advice on how the court should rule, to a tax court. When you are in a position to appoint people who sit in judgment over the rights of individuals in our society, you must absent yourself completely from that process. It's well established in law. And if we want to proceed with creating a local appeals body, we have to accept that discipline. And it's a very steep bar, and we should think about it carefully. And I advocate that we do it. And I advocate it for this reason. Yes, there's that downside, but what's the upside? The upside is that we demonstrate to Torontonians that we are a mature enough order of government to begin to get ourselves out from under the Ontario Municipal Board. I am of the belief that this Council is capable of appointing people to look at these decisions, these appeals, with a better knowledge of Toronto planning, with a better knowledge of the trade-offs that come with applications to the Committee of Adjustment than the Ontario Municipal Board has, who appoint people without any specific credentials and without any knowledge of the City of Toronto. As anyone who's been here will know, when you go to the Ontario Municipal Board, an awful lot is the luck of who you draw. We can do better than that. But it's not all upside. The downside is, if we want to take on that new responsibility, if we want to tell our constituents we can do a better job than the province does when they appoint Ontario Municipal Board members, when we appoint local appeal body members, then we have to be prepared to accept the discipline that our rights operate a little bit differently. I think it's actually a fair trade because, as most of us will know, if you ask a City of Toronto lawyer, hey, should I go and try to be a witness at the Ontario Municipal Board about this? They'll say, God, no, don't do it. The Ontario Municipal Board makes its decision based on professional planning advice. They actually hate it when there's an effort for political interference. This does handcuff us, though. It takes away something that many of us have relied on for years. The number of speeches I've heard here where people have got up and said, you know what, the reason that this application went through or that terrible decision was made is the ogres at the Ontario Municipal Board. And we've been able to hide behind that rhetoric when we are unable to get what a majority of members in our community want us to achieve through a Committee of Adjustment application or an official plan amendment. And now we're going to have to say something a little bit more complicated, which is, in Canadian law, there's actually a weighing of rights that takes place between the private property rights of someone who's making an application and the broader community of interest. And the way that is managed, the way it's decided, is on professional planning advice, not on what the local councillor feels might be the most popular view in the ward. That's actually the step we're taking by creating this appeal body and having the discipline to tell our constituents, in these instances, I can tell you how it works, I can tell you what kind of arguments work best, I can tell you how to best conduct yourself in a mediation, I can tell you that, if you go in and try to make an argument that you don't like the guy moving in, that won't get you anywhere, but you have to actually argue on planning merits. We can still do all of that work. What we can't do is represent those views ourselves at that body. I think it's a fair trade. I encourage you both to support the Integrity Commissioner's report and to continue to move forward with the local appeal body.
Perks.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you.